Welcome to Spice Mantra. Today I'm going to be making 3 different vegetable curries. The first one is a potato curry, the second one a green pepper curry, and the third one curried cauliflower. Let's get started with the potato curry. For the potato curry, I have just few simple ingredients. I have diced potatoes that I diced up earlier, and I just put them in cold water because I didn't want them to discolor. So basically you can make this ahead of time if you wanted to do that, and just store it in cold water and it won't discolor. As you can see, I have small dices like that, so try to keep it as even as possible. And then you need a large onion, again diced up about the same size, and then I have tomatoes. So tomatoes, I have 2 medium tomatoes diced up. I think these are just a little bit smaller. Of course, they're going to cook down afterwards. And then I have crushed peanuts. So this is a very interesting ingredient. Basically, these are honey roasted peanuts. You can just use any dry roasted peanuts. They're crushed. You can put them through the spice mill or the coffee grinder, or you can put them in the food processor or blender. And this is about 1/4 cup. And I also have dry coconut, dry desiccated coconut. This is the unsweetened kind, so you don't want to do the sweet kind because we're not making a dessert. Also, this is finely shredded, and you can typically find this in whole food markets or also in the organic section for sure. And I have olive oil. That's the medium I'm going to be cooking in. You can also use any other vegetable oil or canola oil. It doesn't really matter. And then I'll come to this part where this is the spice box. Typically, the spice box in India is used. It's always filled with all these different ingredients, and depending on the region you're coming from, you would have different spices. In this one, I have mustard, cumin, curry powder, salt, paprika, turmeric, and red chili flakes. So like I said, this typically, if you're from the South, you would have all of these ingredients, and I am from the South, but also the western part of India has similar things. North Indian cooking, you wouldn't find the black mustard seeds as much. So let's talk a little bit about the curry powder, which is the key ingredient in today's cooking. So this has cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, and and red chili powder, and and black pepper powder. So they're different combinations, and today I'm not really making this because I've made it on other shows, and hopefully you watched that. But basically, you really dry roast all the ingredients on a small fry pan, saute pan, and then cool it down completely and grind it down either using a spice mill or blender or food processor. But the spice mill works the best because you can get it to a fine grind like you see it here. So these are just the basic ingredients, and then I'm just going to be cooking it up soon. So let's move to the stove. And now we are ready to start cooking the potato curry. So the first thing I'm doing here is adding the desiccated coconut, unsweetened desiccated coconut, because we're just going to be dry roasting that along with the cumin. And the cumin, I'm adding a teaspoon in there along with the coconut. So that's a teaspoon. And basically what I'm going to be doing here is dry roasting this till it's nice golden brown. And so you want to do this slowly, but in the interest of time here, I'm just doing it on fairly high heat. So you just want to get it, if it's on high, it starts burning right away. So you want to be careful. And since I've done this so many times, it's kind of easy for me. So this is a very typical dish that's made during festive occasions. Again, let's say it doesn't have to be a festive occasion too, but on like a Sunday lunch, or if you have people over, because it's fairly easy dish to make, and also it feeds a lot of people. So my mother-in-law used to make this dish. I learned this dish from her. And as you know, potatoes can really feed an army, and people sometimes just come to unannounced in India. Typically, they just, sometimes show up, and if it's lunchtime, you add another dish or somehow expand your cooking. So potatoes are one of the things that are easy to cook, and they're always available. And my mother-in-law always had potatoes and onions, always. If for any reason we ran out of it, she would make sure that somebody went to the store or the market to go get them. So as you can see, it's turned a nice golden brown, and that's it. I'm going to turn the heat off for that. And if you can smell that, it just smells divine. You want to cool it down, and right now, again, because I don't have a lot of time, I'm just going to not cool it. And the best way to do this in a mortar and pestle, if you have this, please use that. But if you don't, you can cool it and then put it through a food processor very quickly. You just want to, process it really quickly. Let me just put this away. I'll bring it to the sink here. And that's the noise from the sink. I just put a hot pan in there. So right now let me move that away so you can hear me. That's better. So all I'm doing is really quickly getting this to be grinded a little bit. I don't want it very fine. I just want it, I don't know if you can see that, but it's already grinding into a coarse powder. That's what I'm looking for. Kind of like the peanuts that we have here. So I'm looking for almost that consistency without the peanuts, of course. And again, it really smells good. And one of the things when I was a kid, we didn't use food processors or blenders. We just would take a bigger version of this and grind everything. We made a lot of chutneys. We made most curry dishes. The curry powder wasn't even dry back then. We used to grind, really put a lot of fresh coconut, fresh jalapenos, cilantro, along with the dry herbs and spices, and grind it all up. And when you look at it, I'm just going to pick it up and show you. It's got a little bit of oiliness to it, and it almost kind of looks like the peanut butter, except it's a little coarse. So that's ready. I'm just going to pull that out, or add it to the potatoes, when we are done. Again, the best way is use your hands. You want to get everything that's sitting in the little nooks and corners of the mortar. So I have that. And so now let's get started with the potatoes. So I'm just going to turn the stove on here, and let me move that so you can see it. So I'm putting olive oil, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Again, you can use any vegetable oil, and that's actually 3 because it wasn't a full spoon. I added a little bit more. So get it on high heat in the beginning. You want to get a nice wide pan because it really, you want to get all the potatoes sauteed first before you add any liquid to it. So here the olive oil is heating up, and give it just just a minute more. And I'm going to be adding the whole black mustard seeds. Again, the best way to do it is use the black mustard seeds, but if you don't have that, you can substitute it for the mustard, except don't add it to the oil first. So again, I have a teaspoon. I keep adding to make it into a teaspoon. And the black mustard seeds start to sputter, and that's when you want to turn it down because you don't want to burn it. You want to hear that, and then if it's making, if it's turning a darker color, you want to pull it off the heat. That's a good trick that I learned. And then you add a teaspoon of cumin. Again, it smells so wonderful in here. So I have the cumin in there. Now I'm going to be adding the turmeric next. So half teaspoon of turmeric. And the turmeric, as soon as you put it in, you just want to give it a nice toss like that, just so that you get the raw turmeric smell away. And then I'm adding the onions. Again, we have one diced onion. Let me get my spoon here. And I'm turning the heat up just a little bit because now the onions are in there and it's cooled down, so I can give it a little more space here. So, and you don't really need to saute the onions that much because, with this dish you don't need to cook the onions down because when the dish is ready, you want to see the bite-sized onions in there. And you probably want to give it another minute, but I'm going to add the tomatoes. So just kind of, they have to turn slightly transparent. And I'm adding the tomatoes. These are 2 medium tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, and this is delicious in the summer when you have tomatoes that are, nicely ripe. And I just use, you can use any kind of tomatoes. If you use cherry tomatoes, you just want to cut them up a little bit so you don't want them popping. But I've used the regular plum tomatoes in here. They're a little bit juicy, and I like the taste of that. And now then we're ready to add the special spice, which is the curry powder. And this really, depending on, how you like it, whether you like it spicy or not. And I do like my food spicy. And so I'm adding a half teaspoon. And you don't want to go too heavy on it because, you don't want to cover up the whole vegetable taste as well. Because sometimes people put a lot of curry powder, and that's all it sort of tastes like. You want the vegetable taste to be coming through too. All right, again, it's very sort of easy to make, almost peasant food. So the next ingredient I'm adding is the crushed peanuts. That's a 1/4 cup. Oh, it smells so wonderful in here. And then I'm going to be adding the potatoes now. Again, I drained all the water out. These were the 3 large potatoes. And I do sometimes leave the skin on, but today I just wanted to make it a very typical dish. In India, generally, they don't leave the skin on, But I think if you leave the skin on, it's fine because it'll retain all the vitamins and all the good stuff. So, doesn't that look great? Yeah, wait till it's done. And it's slowed down because I added the potatoes to it. And then you do the salt. I would do about a teaspoon of salt for the potatoes, or a little bit more depending on your taste. And since we have the tomatoes, always a good idea to do a pinch of sugar, but you don't have to do it because we don't have a lot of tomatoes. So I'm going to do the salt. I like food to be a little tasty, so I'm adding a little more salt. And once you have all the ingredients, all you have to do is really mix it all well together, and then I will add the coconut and the cumin that we put together. Okay. Just hope I don't drop it. This thing is really heavy too. Do you know what else I make with this? Guacamole. That's what I make with this. But it's really a neat little thing to have at home. I love my mortar and pestle, and as you can see, I have all different sizes. I use some for desserts. I use quite a bit. I'm obsessed with these things. Honestly, I love them. And if I see one, I always pick it up. I love collecting them. So now I'm ready to add some liquid to it, because again, this is a curry. So I'm adding a cup of water to that. It depends on the thickness. If you like it a little more thin, you can add another quarter to a half cup of water. But this will make a nice thick gravy. And once it comes to a boil, you just want to cover it, partially cover it, turn down the heat, and it takes about 20 minutes or so to cook the potatoes. And it depends on how hot you've kept. So you want a medium flame for it, because you want the potatoes to slow cook, and until the potatoes are well done. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to let this cook, and then I'll bring it to the table once it's done, so that we can taste it and see what it looks like. There you go. That's the typical Maharashtrian potato curry. The second curry I'm making today is a green pepper curry, and the ingredients again are green peppers. These are just cut up in a 1/2-inch strips, and then a large onion cut up in dice. And we have coconut. Again, it's the dry desiccated coconut, 1/4 cup. And I have a 1/2 cup of tomato puree. And you can do this at home if you wanted. You'd have to blanch tomatoes and then blend it really well till you get a soft puree. Or if you get a very good brand, you can use the tomato puree. Today I'm using a good canned tomato puree. And the magical ingredient today is peanut butter. And this is something that I've just developed to make it simple and easy. In India, you use peanuts. You would roast them, get the skin off of it, and then really get the paste. You would grind it on a stone. It used to be typically on a stone before, but later on it's done in a food processor or a blender. But since we get peanut butter that's readily available here, I just made up this recipe, and I'm substituting a 1/4 cup of peanut butter. So the peppers are 2 large peppers, by the way. And again, I go back to my spice box. And in this one, I'm just going to be using different ingredients from the spice box. And we just need black mustard seeds, cumin, again, the curry powder, turmeric. And since I like hot food, I add a little bit of the paprika or the red chili powder. But if you don't like spicy food, you don't have to add that, because there's some already in the curry powder, which we made earlier. And the medium that I cook again is olive oil, and you can use any oil that you like. And I have a little bit of sugar. Whenever there's tomato, whenever there's some acidity in the food, we always add a pinch of sugar, just to neutralize that and get the acidity out. So again, let's get started and move to the stove to make the green pepper curry. I'm letting the potatoes cook while we do the green pepper curry. So my typical formula is 3 tablespoons of olive oil or any other vegetable oil for about, this serves about 4 to 6 people. So we have the green pepper, and we have the tomato puree, onions, peanut butter, coconut, sugar, salt, and all the spices. So the first thing for this curry is, this is again a very, very typical seasoning that we do for almost all dishes. So I'm using the black mustard seeds, half teaspoon, cumin, again that's half teaspoon, and remember, if it gets too hot and starts popping too much, you just lift it off a little bit to cool it down. Cool the saute pan. I'm using about, since it's a curry, I'm using a saute pan, medium-sized saute pan. And then I'm ready to add the half teaspoon of turmeric. So again, just pull it off heat and swirl it around till you cook the turmeric. Then now I'm ready to add the onions. And this is one large onion. Let me turn the heat up a little bit so you can see. This one I'm going to cook just a little bit longer than I did for the potatoes, because I want the onions to cook slightly, just to get the sweet taste out of it. At home you probably want to do it a little bit more than I am doing here. So just kind of transparent like that, like you see the small ones getting. So you want to get them transparent. And to this I'm going to be adding the tomato puree. And that's a half cup of tomato puree. I'm turning the heat down. Isn't that a wonderful color? Yeah, I just love the combination of onions and tomatoes, and it's just something so comforting about these ingredients. And then green peppers happens to be my favorite dish too, favorite vegetable rather. So I can, there are different ways that I cook that. Sometimes I do stuffed peppers. Sometimes I just add a little bit of chickpea flour to it and roast it. But today we are doing a curry, so this will have a little bit of gravy to it. Typically curries are dishes that you have some gravy to it, but I'm making two dishes that are with gravy, and then I'll be making one that's kind of a dry dish when I do the cauliflowers. You'll see when we get to it. So again, this, you want to get the tomatoes to cook a little bit in the puree form, along with the onions. And then I'm ready to add the green pepper to it. So that's 2 large green peppers. I took the seeds out and cut them in, it's about a ½ inch strips, little strips. You want to make sure that you get the green peppers cut evenly so that it really looks nice. It makes a nice presentation, and I like to bite into similar sizes. Kind of a weird thing, but I like food that's even sized, and it's so much you eat with your eyes too, as you all know. So it's really something that when you're cutting, take time to do even cooking. You just don't go chop chop chop. You just want to make sure that you take some time to cut your vegetables evenly. It really makes a big difference in the presentation. So I'm turning down the heat a little bit on this just because I want to check on my potatoes. Let's see how they're doing. It's really hot, so you want to be careful when you do this. Again, I've done this a lot, but I still am using my oven mitt because it's hot. And as you can see, it cooled down just a little bit as soon as I opened it, and it's coming along nicely, and you can see a little bit of the gravy in there. I hope you can see that. And this really goes well with rice or naan bread. And you do get a lot of the naan bread, really good quality in the stores these days. So this is what you would typically eat that with. And again, since rice was an easy dish to make, You know, when people came over, it was easy to just put a pot of rice, and you know, especially in the South, you always had a lot of rice because if you didn't eat it for lunch, you'd have it for dinner, and you'd make something else with it. Okay, so now I'm ready to add the next ingredient, which is the peanut butter. Did you ever think that we could use peanut butter in a curry? I guess, you know, Thai curries do have peanut in it and peanut butter, so it wouldn't be like a strange taste for you. And I think this is what adds the thickness to this gravy a little bit. You know, the peanut butter just dissolves in there, and the combination with the curry is just amazing. So I'm going to be adding the coconut to it next. This is the dry desiccated coconut, a 1/4 cup. And again, you know, the colors are just beautiful in there. It's almost like an orangey, you know, fall color. It's got the green, it's got the, you know, transparent, like off-white for the onions, and then you have the tomato and the coconut. So that's just made it, you know, with all the ingredients. It's really a wonderful curry, easy to make, and you can make it for your next dinner party and surprise all the guests, and hopefully pleasantly. So now I'm going to add the curry powder again, and I'm adding a teaspoon. You could use less or more, like I keep saying, you know, it depends on your taste. If you don't like a lot of curry, you know, use less, and if you like a lot of curry, you can add, you know, up to a teaspoon, because you don't want to make it very curry, heavy on the curry. And then now I'm going to be adding the salt. Same thing for that amount. I'll be doing about a teaspoon, you know, more or less. Depends on your taste. My daughter likes less salt. My husband likes a lot of salt. So I sort of make it less salty, and then just have him add. But he always says this, you know, the food could use a little more salt. Ever since the kids are home now, I've cut down on the salt intake, which is a good thing. You know, you don't want to overdo it. But again, you know, if you don't add a good amount of salt, food really tastes kind of bland and doesn't taste good. So moderation. And then again, because it has the tomato, I'm adding some sugar. It's a, you know, nice pinch of sugar here. Really, even though I grabbed it like that, it's just a pinch. And again, at this point, I'm just stirring it, putting it all together like that, and I'm going to be adding the water to it. 1 cup of water, hot water. I always have some hot water handy because it really saves on the cooking time. And you know, you can just have like a kettle going in the back of your stove when you're cooking, especially when you're cooking, you know, for company, or you're making 2 or 3 dishes. It's always a good idea to have some hot water going. It really cuts down on time. So now I'm adding the hot water. You can see it's already starting to bubble, and isn't that a lovely color? It's kind of, it looks like the Thai red curry, except it has green peppers in it. So, and again, you know, bring it back to a boil, like a nice rolling boil. Turn the heat to a medium-low, cover, and cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes. Also, if you like the peppers cooked a little done, you know, you like it more done, you can leave it on for another 5 minutes. But if you're like me and like a little bit of bite in the pepper, you can cook for about 15 minutes or so. So I'm done with that, and then, you know, let's check on the potatoes again. I'm going to cover that in a minute. I think they're coming along nicely. Yeah, they look almost done to me. You know, just a few more minutes. I'm going to lower the heat, cover it again, and I'm making a lot of mess. You know, it's the kitchen. Sometimes you make a mess, and hopefully you'll have someone, you know, come and clean up for you. But, you know, it's not always true in my house. if I leave it fairly not messy, then they don't mind cleaning. But if I have all these pots and pans, it's like, Mom, what did you do? Or Aditi, what did you do? So, but I think cooking is fun. You make a little mess, but look at the end result though, right? So I'm going to cover these dishes and we'll move on to our next dish, the curried cauliflower. I'm just going to give it a few minutes before I come and do the cauliflower. The third curry that we are making is a cauliflower dish, which is curried cauliflower. So I have a small head of cauliflower chopped into small florets, and we have ginger, a teaspoon of chopped ginger, and a teaspoon of chopped garlic, and a half a teaspoon. It could be a little bit more. I have a little more here. So a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of chopped jalapeno. I took the seeds out here, but if you like hot food, you can leave that in. And the spice box again. So with this, I'm going to be using cumin and a little bit of red chili powder. Again, you don't have to if it's not too spicy for you. You can leave that out. And since it's curried cauliflower, we're going to be using the curry powder again, and this is the homemade one. You could also use the store-bought one. Just make sure it's fresh and make sure you get it from a good source, like a whole food place. You get a good curry powder, and they also have Indian sections now, so you could buy that from the Whole Foods market if you can. But again, you don't have to go looking for one ingredient and try to go a long distance to get it. You can buy curry powder, or you might have some in your shelf. Just make sure it's not old, because it really expires too. So make sure you have some fresh curry powder, because that's what makes the dish. And I have some olive oil here for the cooking. And at the end, when it's all done, we'll be garnishing this with lime juice, a half lime juice, and then you could also use lemon juice. It doesn't have to be lime. I just kind of prefer that. And just a little bit of cilantro to garnish. And really, it's simple ingredients, easy to make, and I really hope you get to try this at home. So we'll get started, move to the stove, and cook the curried cauliflower. And we are ready to do the curried cauliflower. So I have 3 tablespoons of oil, my formula, for most dishes that you want to serve for about 4 to 6 people. So once the pan gets hot, and it's getting hot, I'm going to be adding some of the ingredients in here. With this one, I'm not adding the black mustard seeds, because this is very popular dish in the northern part of India. It's a Punjabi dish. It's made in the other parts of the country too, but when you add garlic and onions and jalapeno, it typically becomes sort of a North Indian dish. I'm just going to add a little bit more. So that's about a teaspoon of cumin. And again, remember, that's not going to sputter like the black mustard seeds. So you just kind of really have to watch to see that it gets a golden brown color. It turns from how it was typically before, sort of dry. With the oil, it just becomes the oil brings it out, and it's really pungent at that point, and it fattens up a little bit, the seeds, as you can see. So next ingredient I'm adding in there is the jalapenos. And again, they cook up and give off like a real nice aroma to it. Then I'm doing the chopped ginger. That's going in there. And I'm just going to turn the heat down a little bit, because I think they're cooking a little faster than I'd like it to. And that's sort of the magic of seasoning. When you're doing the foods, either you pull it off the stove, you want to be careful that it's not hot. And it's not hot, really. I have asbestos hands and fingers, but not that much. But I can touch that. So, and then I'm adding garlic to it. Again, chopped garlic and chopped onion, chopped garlic and chopped ginger. This was fresh ginger that you are able to buy in the produce section. You just want to peel it and cut it up in about like an inch piece that just, you slice it and then chop it up. So my food is flying all over the place. All right, I better slow down just a little bit. Okay, now I'm ready to add the curry powder to it. So this one I'm not adding turmeric, because I think the curry powder will just do the trick on it. So I'm adding a little here, just about a half teaspoon, and you can do a quarter. So I'm just going to layer the curry powder. So the hot oil is seasoned with spices, herbs, and I should say cilantro, and ginger and garlic. And again, that smells just divine in here. And now I'm ready to add the cauliflower. I just, the whole kitchen is really smelling wonderful. Indian cooking is so full of spices, but the home cooking is really not heavy like the restaurant food. It's just everyday food is simple. It is spicy, it has spices, but it's not the heavy, creamy, typical spices that you have in the Indian restaurants. Because frankly, if you eat like that, you really have to watch your weight all the time or exercise a lot. So with this one, I'm not going to be adding any water to this dish at all. So I'm going to roast it really well. And then, once it gets a little brown spots, I'm going to turn the heat down. And, cauliflower is one of those dishes that people either love it or hate it. But I think, if you try it, it's not going to be like a mushy cooked cauliflower with water or steamed or anything like that. This is just going to be almost like roasted cauliflower that you do in an oven, but you're just making it, on the stove top. And trust me, even if you are not a person who likes cauliflower, you will try this, and I'm sure you'll like it. In a minute, I'm going to be adding some salt. And a little bit of sugar, because at the end, I'm going to be adding the lime juice to it. So every time there's some acid, I put a little sugar to neutralize that, and, and it adds to the taste. Just a little bit of sweet, sour, bitter, and that's how Indian food is always about balance. Always, you balance all the spices, the herbs, the vegetables, and the grandmothers really cooked it this way. And I like that old-fashioned way of cooking. I think it takes you back to roots, simplicity, and as much as possible, I try to do that for my kids. And at this point, when I look at it, I feel like it can take just a little bit of oil. So don't be afraid if you think your dish looks a little dry. You can add just a little bit more, because I'm not really completely measuring out, so I don't think I got like 3 tablespoons. I'm just adding a little bit more. You don't want to do it too much at the end, because you'll have a little bit of the raw oil smell to it. Although if you use olive oil, especially if you're using good quality olive oil and extra virgin, it doesn't matter. If you want to add a little at the end, it's fine. But if you're using, canola oil, vegetable oil, you don't want to do it towards the end, because that's going to have a little bit of the oil, raw oil taste, if you will. So again, a nice pinch of sugar, and then I'm going to be adding the salt. And with this, I'll be I won't be as generous as before. I'll be a little light, and because you can add at the end too. And then, back to the other ingredient, I'm adding layers of the curry powder. I'm going to be adding just a little bit more here because you want to make sure that it gets into all the little pockets of the cauliflower, all the little corners, the crevices, the nooks, and whatever you want to call it. And now, as you can see, it's picking up, it's getting brown, and once it starts getting brown like that, you don't want it to burn. You just want like a nice golden brown. I hope you can see that it's turning, turning color. So kind of like a light golden brown color is what you're looking for. And once you get to that point, you just want to turn the heat down and put a lid on it and cook it for about 10 to 12 minutes. Again, if you like a little bite to the cauliflower, which I think is always nice. You want it cooked on the outside, but a little bite in the inside. Then you want to cook it for about 10 to 12 minutes on medium-low. But if you like, soft cooked, you don't want to make it mushy. You want the florets to be holding. Then you cook it just a little longer, maybe about 3 to 5 minutes. So let me show you a little bit of what I meant when I said it has to turn sort of golden brown. Do you see that? So kind of like that. And I think I'm happy with that. Right now I'm going to put a lid on it, let it cook for a little bit, and we can come back and look at the curry cauliflower. Meanwhile, let me check on the potatoes. I think they're almost done. It's been cooking away. Yep, there you go. I can just tell by looking at it that it's done. I don't even need to touch it because I've cooked for so long, and I know, a cooked potato dish when I see it. And here I'm just going to cover that, and I'll be right back with all the dishes and plate it up, and we'll be ready to taste it. And I really hope you get to make all of these dishes. They're easy, and you can always call me, go on the website, Medfield TV website, to get the recipes. Please try this at home. I think you will definitely like the dishes. It's my guarantee. As you can see, we are done with the vegetable dishes, the curries that we made today. And the first one is the potato curry, and I'm going to be just garnishing it with just a little bit of cilantro, this is again a very, very typical garnish. And as you see, there's a little bit of curry in their gravy, and depending on how you like it, in this case, we really like it thick. So there's the gravy in there. And it could be a little bit more if you liked it, which means you added just a little bit more water. And so I'm done with that. And then the second one is the pepper curry. Again, that looks wonderful. And this is a little more creamier. It's got a little more gravy in it. So for this, because it has coconut, I'm just going to garnish that with a little bit of the desiccated, unsweetened coconut. Okay, just make a little, just make a little circle like that to garnish. Doesn't have to be fancy. There you go. And I really can't wait to taste it. So then the third one we have is the cauliflower dish. I'm going to add some lime juice to it to garnish it. And then, for this quantity, for the small cauliflower, you just need about a half lime. But again, if you like the liminess of it and you like it sour, you can add a little bit more. And then I'm doing the cilantro again. Like I said, cilantro is a completely Indian garnish that if you go to no matter which part of India, you'd have some cilantro in cooking, but definitely for garnishing. And typically these dishes are, you eat them with rice or roti or naan, which again you can get the naan ready-made in the Whole Food stores. But again, I love eating rice, so here I've made a little rice, and it's just plain white basmati rice. And I've just garnished it a little bit on top because it's plain white rice with some cinnamon sticks and cloves. And you don't want to really bite into those. You just want to remove them because they've not been cooked. You could season that in butter and add them. In that case, you'd be able to get a bite on that. So I'm ready to, eat the yummy food that we made today. So let me get a little bit of the rice. And I'm going to spoon up the potato, and I'll show you the gravy in a second here. So I think it's, a little bit more on the bottom, so you can see it's a nice gravy here. Okay, I want to get a little bit of the cilantro. How about some more? And then let me do the second one. And this is the green pepper with the peanut butter in it. And you can see the chunks of onions. It's, soft cooked, but the green pepper definitely has a bite to it. And I love my curries, so I have a little bit of rice, but a lot of curries. I try to do that, trying to cut down on my carb, even though I love my rice. Here it is. So I have the cauliflower. It's all nice and brown with the ginger, the garlic, and the curry. So it's basically the same curry powder that we use for all three. It's 3 different forms, and just because it's all different combinations, it's going to taste different, a little bit different from each other. So let me just eat a little bit of that and let you know. My mouth full. That is delicious. The potatoes are cooked right. They still have the structure to that, but it also kind of really melts in your mouth. And the onion is nice and soft. And also has a little bit of a bite. Let me try the green pepper. Yummy. Get some rice in here. I'll make sure I have a piece of the pepper. Delicious. These 2 dishes are a combination of Western South Indian style of cooking, and then the cauliflower is North Indian style. That's how I prepared it today. And I can't wait to eat the cauliflower. That is awesome. I wish you could all taste that and have it. Try this at home. It's really simple and easy. I still have my mouth full. Let me put my dish away. And that's it for now. I'll be back with more spice cooking. Thank you for watching Spice Mantra.
Production support provided by Medfield.tv. Access to our community.